There is always power behind the power in history of governments, especially of corrupt governments and corrupt executives like president, etc., especially the office of the president. During John Foster's premiership, who was not a president then, before the establishment of executive presidency in this country, there was an Hendrik van der Berg, who was said to be power behind the power. He was the head of the intelligence apparatus called BOS, and he was said to be power behind the power of the dyed-in-the-wool Nazi John Foster. During P.W. Botha, there didn't seem to be such a power, though Neil Barnard was also featuring very strongly. But Hendrik van den Berg, Lang Henry, was the most feared person in this country during the time of gangsters like Jimmy Kruger and Leclancy in the cabinet of John Foster. And it reminds me of these facts when Mkhwanazi says there was this shadow government headed by a very powerful, and he calls him gentleman. Then I say, wow, Mkhwanazi, come on, man. Wake up your English understanding of some of these terms. He calls him a gentleman in a farm north of Pretoria who was a shadow government power in South Africa. And he even states that the so-called Ket Matala was a small fry. It was just a lickspittle to some of these heads of the cartels, with the top head at the apex of crime being Mswati, who demanded that every police official must report to his farm. And I guess also politicians, if they want to survive in their careers as politicians and police officers. And I guess that's why Mkhwanazi would not have gone to Mchunu or even to the executive itself, because he didn't know how much power does the power beyond Winterveld have above them. And he would not report to them. He worked out his own thing to clean up this country and ultimately presented on 6th July, and a relative of mine, a son-in-law of a sister of mine, who was a police officer, said Mkhwanazi to me. Mkhwanazi was a very much disorganized and ill-disciplined police person. Sometimes you have to have ill-disciplined people according to certain patterns, especially of corruption, etc., even where there is total autocracy. Man, this man could not have gone to Cyril Ramaphosa. The man below Cyril Ramaphosa's desk would have chewed him to pieces even before he left the door of that austere office. He couldn't. I dared go to an office of the NPA to report about the matter of the assassination of my brother by Thabo Mbeki and co, who included the Ugandan president, and the Burundian president, who machinated everything and succeeded in executing it. And I went there. When I went there, I was carted to a person called Silas Ramaite, Dr. Silas Ramaite, and I knew him to be dealing then with those that were uncovered from hidden graves and finding them. And so my brother was not hidden in a grave. He was buried in Vanderbilt Park, and a Ugandan minister sent by Museveni was in attendance to just bluff us, just to delude us and confuse us. And I was told to go to Silas Ramaite then to report this case. Silas said I must draft something because I was relating the story by word of mouth. I drafted whatever he needed and whatever else information that he needed to support what I had put at his table. When I related that to some family members, a lawyer, prominent lawyer in the family, very aptly said to me, "Why the hell do you think ANC people can investigate ANC heads of government? Why the hell?" Which means he already knew how the organized crime was tied under Mbeki belt. Endangering my life, as many family members believed I would be endangered. Sometimes Mkonazi was surrounded by police officers, some of them, I think, if my memory serves, in balaclavas and so on. I have never had anybody wearing balaclava behind me when I went to office and after office of the government and related bodies like human rights, and to no avail. This man never came back to me because he thought I'm just a small fry that he can forget, I think, when he presented at the table of the NPA. So I recently wrote to this governmental body that has just closed, that was called ad hoc committee. I wrote to them about this story. They never replied to me. They don't reply to me. If they keep on not replying to me, I'll keep on replying to me. I'll keep on replying to me because they're not replying to me. I even wrote to the Pope, the new Pope in Rome, and some luminaries in South Africa. But my email was intercepted and interfered with about my brother's case. That is how lofty the matter is in my mind. But Cyril Ramaphosa's apparatchiks protected even Thabo Mbeki and Jacob Zuma. So don't be fooled about them playing games. He was not in office then. He was still the notorious guy who didn't go to Mandela's inauguration when all this happened. Now he has come up, and Mkonazi is accused of not having knocked at the president's office. Thank you so much, Mkonazi. I did knock. I knocked at Mkunu's office fearing that when I proceed with this, I will need protection from the police. He never replied. So should I fear death because these hyenas have never replied to me? If they cannot protect me, there is power that will protect me for the days that is determined from on high that I will live. I'm not going to be some yellow coward. I'm not going to say I cannot prosecute through the NPA, the ANC, because it is ANC. How dare do they bring Ramaite as a acting director general of the NPA when they know they have read my documents? And in democracy, you can't say a citizen is a small fry that I matter. I'm even more powerful than the Ramaphosa, if I can tell you. Because Ramaphosa talks in muffled in tones, and he rolls his language very softly to confound and confuse everybody. I don't do that. I open my mouth. I tell it like it is, which puts me a pedestal higher than Ramaphosa by far. And because I open my mouth, I'm not something of a Fikile Mbalula or Julius Malema. I'm me. And me is me. Me is talking to me, and me will reply to me until I don't know when. But if somebody thinks I will get tired, I will never get tired. One day, people will respond. People of goodwill will respond, and some of them will come even in drips and drabs in aid of myself. And I cannot blame my family, who were never politicized. They didn't know how politics work. I was politicized at 11 years old by my mother. I knew exactly how rotten politics can be. And I was singled out to be politicized and to be turned into a revolutionary of the future, which part I played sometimes in the shadows of the SACC and other areas of life. I have always confronted things head on. None of my family members, including our children, were trained in that vein. That's how much I think I must never ever blame anybody. Even Bavumile's son was heavily manipulated by Jacob Zuma to cause confusion in the family. Jacob Zuma forcefully came to my brother's unveiling without our invite, without even informing the heads of the family. Going to a young man, single young man, an Umzulu of his caliber, who knows tradition and customs, never, even when I was assigned to guide him through on that day, I went and greeted him, and he was not wearing a pleasant face because he knew what I was about already. And I pretended to be soft. I said, Mongameli, we will start on that graveside and we will go to this one and we will go to and this and that. It was just, and in my heart I was saying, to hell with you. I know why you are behaving like this. I know, but I have been given an assignment and I wanted to see what you look like. One relative of mine was assigned to stand next to Jacob Zuma throughout. That said, according to protocol, a family member must stand besides him throughout the ceremony. And one relative of mine, whom I've alluded to already, refused. He says, I don't stand to no Jacob next to no Jacob Zuma. And my brother Billy had to comply and be the one who stood next to Jacob Zuma. And, and I told Jacob Zuma right there in his face that this matter, if he thinks he is trying to confuse us with a kind of closure, imposing it even on Bavumile's son, he is deeply mistaken. There will be no closure. I, Paul Njabulo, Vela Bahleke, Joshua, Mutiti, in my heart I told him, I will fight all the way. And I'm still fighting. I'm fighting now so that I can relieve my blood pressure and the blood pressure of the world, of the people who will soon suffer deeply under people like Silas Ramaite, who's heading now the NPA. And I'm daring Silas Ramaite to take me up, man. Hey, what are you guys waiting for? Take me up, man. Take me to court. If you think really I am tarnishing your image, and even with the legal terms to that effect. By the way, English is not my first language, but it's my most spoken language. Now, I'm not sure what tarnishment am I doing to your image, but I know I'm saying you are just rotten fellows, rotten to the core. And I'm asking you to take me on if you may. You are rotten to the core. The Craddock 4 are fighting it in the Sisi Commission, Sisi Khampepe Commission. And I tried to rope in the Craddock 4 onto my case. They never replied to me also. maybe I write poorly, but I know most of those people who know me know I don't write poorly. I have written columns. I've worked as a journalist. How could I write poorly? They have not responded because they are nursing their corner. And there's nobody who's come on board to nurse my corner because I've always been, especially in a wrong institution, the church. The church is the most wrong institution. You can't do anything out of that. All those pastors are, you know, they are speak littles of speak. They are kick size of the bishop. They work for bishop all their life. Bishop, 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 until they hope to go to heaven. And the Negro spiritual says, everybody talks about heaven, ain't going there. Heaven, heaven. I'm going to walk all over God's heaven. I'm already walking on God's heaven because I'm outside institutions like the church. The church, people who could stand in that institution for the amount of truth is people like Archbishop Tutu, Alan Busak, of course, and a few others. But the church is a very oppressive institution, and you can be hit very hard if you don't stick to the church. And in conclusion, I'm saying, come on, Silas Ramaite, you are a rat. You are a sewer rat, man. You are a sewer rat. How much hard language? I cannot be more profane than this. You are a sewer rat. Tokyo Sehwale once said to Eugene Tereblanche, you are a sewer rat in khakis. and uh, and he was not taken to court. He said it publicly on TV. So I'm saying to you, fellows out there, you are sewer rats. The sooner you go to the hell of rats, the better. Thank you. Oh, should I say thank you? Man, I'm conditioned also. I'll soon call crooks gentlemen.